Yo, what's up everyone? This is Arcando. Welcome to another tutorial today. I'm going to show you guys how I made my new song There For You, and this time a full walkthrough of the song. I already uploaded a vocal tutorial of this track, and after I uploaded this one, I received a lot of comments from you guys asking me if I could do a full walkthrough of this song. And I decided, you know what? Why not? I think it's going to be really interesting to show you guys regardless. If you haven't checked out the vocal tutorial yet, I'll leave a link in the description below. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. And this is my first project of the song. This is my sound design project. It's basically a project where I just do whatever I want. It's a lot of trial and error. And then in my next project, I do like the last, like basically the final details of the song. And then my last and third project is the mastering project. So I have basically a sound design project, mixing project, and a mastering project. I feel like that's way better and way more and way less chaotic actually than just putting everything in one project, and then I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. So we're gonna start off with the intro. I'll play it for you guys if you haven't heard the song yet, and then we'll just yeah, go through the whole song from the beginning. Okay, so the intro is actually really cool. It has some really nice chords and it starts off really peaceful in a way. So we're gonna start off with the first element, which is this piano. So the piano is from Contact. I think, yeah, it's the Grandeur. This is one of my favorite pianos to use. It's really bright and in your face. And also with the effects that I put on there, which are an overdrive, an EQ, just boosting a bit of the high end, a one knob brighter from Waves, which is basically adding more depth into your sound and like almost a really small reverb to it. To get a bit more space, there's a compressor on the piano to compress the attack of the piano to make it more flat in a way and not too dynamic. And there's a filter and a limiter on this just to control all the peaks and the attacks and the transients of the sound basically. Same thing with this piano. This is also Contact, I think. Yeah, this is the Giant. What makes this piano so special is the fact that it's a very dark piano. I wouldn't use this library as a standalone sound, but more as like a layer for your other piano. This is almost like an ambient piano more than a big like in your face piano. And I feel like this is a really great layer. The effects are basically the same. It's just an EQ, again the one knob brighter, again just making sure that it's like controlling the peaks and the transients of the sound. And yeah, I think that's a great layer for the actual piano or the first piano. Then we have this pluck, which is one of my favorite sounds in this track actually. It's from Signal, and it sounds like this. So Signal is a library from Output, and it's a library that I use a lot. And I think it's an amazing library because it basically combines real life elements and instruments with electronic elements and instruments. And then combined, they just sound so new and so unique. And this was a great addition to the piano, actually. And together, they sound like this. All right, cool. So those are the only instruments in the break, but then there is also a lot going on in the vocal section. And this is, for example, the main chop that you hear in the intro. So this is actually me. I always like to do all the vocal chops on my own, unless it's like something that I really can't do. But since this track has been like sang by me, written by me, mastered by me, everything, I wanted to just do also all the ambience effects myself too. So this is actually a really interesting thing to show you guys. I'll just turn off all the effects and go plugin by plugin. So this is how it sounds completely dry. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Which it doesn't sound like too good, but whatever. It works if you put all the effects on it. So we have a little altar boy. Then we have another little altar boy. This is just to pitch it with 2 octaves, so it becomes really high. It sounds like this. Then there is a Saturn. This is just to slightly, or actually distort it a lot. Then there is a Nectar. I used, oh no, actually I used the same trick as what I did with my actual vocal, which is going to vocal assistant and then assist, and then it basically adds all the plugins for your recording. If you want an in-depth view on this plugin, go check out that vocal tutorial because I used the same plugin for that one, and then I'll explain you guys more in depth about what this plugin does and how you can use it properly. The main reason why I use this one was actually for the pitch, so it auto-tunes what I've recorded. And then I added a transient designer. This is to, yet again, make the sound less dynamic and make it more flat, so also to compress or reduce the attacks in this signal, especially when you compress it and add distortion and add drive to the sound. It's going to add a lot of extra, like, you know, clicks and pops. So for me to make it more smooth, I wanted to reduce the attack and add more sustain to the sound. Then there's another EQ. This is to filter it out like completely. And then we have a reverb. This is obviously to add a lot of more room and more width to the sound. And to make sure that the reverb is being controlled and that it's like even bigger when the reverb is getting released after the sound has been played, I added another compressor to make sure that the reverb is even bigger. Cool, so that is one of the first vocal chops and melodies in the intro. And then obviously we have also this one, which is the main vocal chop, which you also hear in the drop. So I'm gonna show you guys later when I get to the drop how I made this, but all this is another EQ to filter it and a reverb to make it more spacious. No pre-delay, pretty short decay, and a pretty big reverb mix. And yeah, that's it. And then for the effects, let me actually open this. Yeah, there is a crane vinyl crackle. And then there are a lot of reverse effects, and altogether they sound like this. Cool. Then we move on to the main break, which sounds like this. Something, this feeling inside me, I know that it's telling me something. Okay, so we start off the break with just a kick, so it accentuates the punch more. So it's this one. Let me see. This is from Louis Vuitton, whatever. And it's just a really nice punchy kick. Works really well to accentuate the break. And then we have this guitar in the instrument section. So I was being super lazy for this track, and I just wanted to get like a really snappy guitar, something that's just punching through the mix almost, you know? And I found this one in a sample pack from ESW. I don't know exactly what pack this is, but it has a lot of pop elements, a lot of Z, gray type samples. And I was like, you know what? Let me just use this loop and I pitched it up with 6 semitones, which is actually very high. It made the guitar less real, but in a way it works because I filled it up with other elements and it made the song honestly more electronic. So that's the guitar. That's really it. And then we have this kalimba, which is from Serum. Really nice sound as well. I really like this pluck. On this, there is another filter. To just everything is so filtered in this track because I wanted the vocal to be really upfront in the mix. And then there is another reverb to make it really spacious. It's a really big reverb as well because I want this pluck to be like an ambient layer. Yeah, that's basically that for the next couple of bars. And then we have the vocal. I already explained you the vocal in the other tutorial, but really quickly, all it is, it's a EQ, puke child for extra distortion, a RVox for compression. There's a CLA vocals to add a little bit more width to the vocal. There is another EQ, a vocal ride to balance the whole vocal even more. And then there is a limiter and there is reverb and delay on the vocal in 2 different buses. As far as the other vocals go, there is this. This first vocal, if I remove all the effects, it sounds like this. It's basically like a call and response in combination with my actual vocal. So together it sounds like this. I don't know how can I live without these feelings I got. Right, so I thought it was a really cool element that can really, bring the vocal to a higher level to do like a call and response technique on that one. So I added a little altar boy, which looks like this, a really big drive, as you can see, which adds a lot of spice to the vocal effect. Then there is another EQ to filter it out, a reverb, and a tape delay from Logic. And then the other one is just a chipmunk type of vocal to add a little bit more of like an electronic feel to the last bar of my vocal. And it's just a sound shifter, an EQ, and a reverb, and that's it. Then there is the chop comes back here, and then the effects also continue. I just use the same reverb effects again, and the downlifter again that comes afterwards. That's it. Really, really basic. And then the percussions come in, which sound like this. So the percussions are a lot of different ones, and it's really Grey inspired, and I felt like that fitted the track also. So let's just get right into it. So the main element of this loop is not even the kick or like the snares. I feel like it's this percussion loop. Just a lot of shakers, rim shots that are pitched. There are these ones. Some like extra fills. There is this like pre-fill right here. And then the kick is actually really, this is such an amazing kick. 2 kicks combined. This is the main kick. And then there is this layer. To give a bit more body to the main kick. And then the snares sound like this. It's just a snap and another Grey snare combined. So yeah, those are the percussions really. Then for the synths, we have this piano that comes in. Literally, it's the same piano as from the intro, but then no filtering, and it's just it's like a really bright piano. There is this Moomba bass. Also from ESW, Snake Lasers, and yeah, it's just a really plucky bass. And then we have this one. This is, oh yeah, this is actually really cool. This is Modern Sauce, and a lot of you guys, I think, aren't even familiar with this plugin, but it's actually a really cool sampler instrument, or like a sampler plugin. It really has like a lot of great sounds, a lot of great 808s, bells, choirs, flutes, pianos, and it's a really great plugin actually. And I decided to use this 808 Codain bass, which sounds like this. So on the bass there is a EQ, and there is an R bass, and the R bass is what really gives the 808 way more bass and body. Then there is also a limiter on this, and yeah, that's the 808 really, with the same effects, same stuff, until the end. Then at the effects tab there is another reverse vocal and a reversed sub drop from San Holo, which sounds like this. And then we go to the next part, which is the pre-chorus. So this is the main piano that you hear. Same piano as the intro actually, and then this other piano comes in. This is a So this is actually a Nexus Init patch, I think. Oh no, it's Dance Leads, Accelerator, or Ego Punk. Whoa, that's confusing. I think it's Ego Punk. It's almost like an init sound with some distortion, and then it kind of like unfilters as soon as the build-up continues. Then there's the kalimba again, it comes in. And yeah, that just adds even more tension for the build-up. And then the actual build-up drums sound like this. There is this the drop vocal that comes in filtered. And then the drop hits, and the drop is sounding like this. So the drums sound like this. So there's this main kick, which is from Asher Postman, I think. There is this snare, and there is this snare from Cymatics. And then there is this white noise effect, which is actually the same kind of trick I did for Rebel, which is a white noise like splash right when a drop starts. And it just adds like some really cool ear candy. It's amazing what white noise can do for your tracks. So nothing too special. We have the effects. There is a Cashmere crash. Same reverse effects. And some tonal stuff. And then we have this. This is actually really cool. This is a lot of drum percussions that are really punching through the mix, that are supporting the drums actually. So together with the first drums, they sound like this. which just adds way more groove to the drum beat. I didn't want to use hi-hats because that would be too little obvious, you know, like that would be too bare. And I felt like these drum percussions are cutting way more through the mix and are adding so much more spice to the track than I would do with like hi-hats or I don't know, like rim shots or something. So on both layers, there is a OTT, a channel EQ, and a multiband compressor. And the multiband compressor is cutting out all the reverb in these samples or in these loops. So it's just like this one percussive element that is being isolated, really. So then we have this sound, which is the guitar. So the first guitar is the same guitar from the break, but then -6 semitones lower. And then the second guitar is the same guitar, but then +6 semitones higher. Then there is a sub bass. So the main bass sounds like this. It's actually the exact same sub bass as from the break. This is again from Modern Sauce. And there is this other layer which is adding a lot of like distortion to the first layer, a lot of bit crush to the first layer, which is making the sub bass punch through the mix way more than if I would just leave the first sub bass on its own without any distortion or upper harmonics. So this is how the other layer sounds like. So I think, yeah, on the plugin itself, it's, oh no, actually this is a different 808. This is a Megalodon, whatever. And then there is a bit crusher, which is a pretty heavy bit crusher, but the downsampling is only 1. So it adds just a little bit of bit crush, but it still glues really nicely together, and it adds a lot of extra harmonics to the first sub bass. And mixed with the first one, it sounds like this. So that is the sub bass, and then we have the brass hits. This is a sample from VEDM2 Brass Tab 019, which adds just more punch to the drop, more body to the drop. And then we have the synths. Just some plucky stuff. There is this Nexus plugin, Pizza Cult, which is more like a pizzicato string. There is the Serum Pluck, which is from ESW again, and these are the Rhodes. So yeah, that's basically it. And then we have the main vocal chop, which sounds like this. So if I take off all the effect, it's going to sound like this. And on the group, or on the effects rack, there is a little alter boy to pitch it down. There is a bus compressor from Native Instruments, and it just makes it less dynamic yet again. There is a decapitator on this, which is just distorting the sound. There is a serum effect, which has a hyperdimension, a flanger, a filter, and a compressor, multiband compressor, which adds a lot more like room and depth to the vocal chop. Then there is a OTT, which is set to 27%. There is this one, La Petite Excite, which is an exciter. Just add some more high frequencies. Channel EQ, cutting out the low end and boosting a bit of the high end. Then there is a wider plugin, and then there is a reverb. And altogether, that sounds like this. And then for the second part of the vocal chop, there comes this, the same vocal chop, but then an octave higher, which sounds like this. So this one has way more reverb. Yet again, with the guitar, I wanted the higher octave to be way more wide, and I wanted the lower, so like basically the main vocal chop, to be centered, which creates like this really, just a bigger effect really for the drop. So this is like the main project of the song, and then now I'm going to go into the next project, which is the mixing project, where I did some extra stuff, where I added some extra elements and instruments. So yeah, let's get right into it right now.
A few moments later.
Okay, so now we're in the other project. I think everything is really the same, except for some stuff in the drop. Oh, I added actually a lot of other things in the percussion part. So actually, there are a lot of more stuff going on in this project. There are a lot of shaker shots, chants, this like Fabian Mazur, dance hall rims. There's just this chant right here, which adds like a bit more ear candy. Then there is this flume pad. Which basically filters every time the chord is about to end. So as you can see here, it's like a pretty big automation. There is a channel EQ and a wider to make the sound really wide. I think for the drop, there's actually... For you, oh yeah. Right, so this is actually, this is what really gives power to the drop. Not the pizzicato strings, not the vocal chop, whatever. This is what gives the power to the drop. So these are two silent plucks, and they're so playful. They're just like playing their completely own thing, which adds a lot more energy to the drop. Because before it was just like playing these like slow notes, and it was kind of like, I don't know. It was a bit draggy, but these pluck notes are what's giving the whole song way more energy. As you can see in the automation tab, the filter is being triggered the entire time when it plays the long notes. It's the same also with here, as you can see. So with the second sound, which is Serum, both of them really add like a lot more power to the drop. Then let me see, there is this vocal chant in the drop that I added. There's like this downlifter, and that stops every time the last bar happens of the drop. And the new verse, the new second verse, sounds like this. Someone, you tell me to be someone I've never met before. I know you think I'm crazy. I just wanted to do something different for the second verse, because otherwise it would just be too boring. It would be like, okay, so the verse is the same as the second one, both drops are the same, both pre-choruses are the same, and then the outro is basically the same as the intro. So I wanted to just go crazy on the second verse. You know, I just wanted to make it more different than the first one, to just keep the whole song interesting, you know. So I added this someone, which is basically the end of someone, the ending part of that, cut and then reverbed, bounced, and then I added a tremolo effect that is basically a panner that pans from left to right, and then automate it, it sounds like this. So it ends, but then it reverses back into it, into the vocal. You tell me to be someone I... And then I did the same thing with the guitar, actually, which is this. So it's the high guitar, but then with a 100% reverb, but the decay is super short, and then the guitar is reversed back into it. It's a nice twist to it. It's a nice electronic effect. And then there is this pluck also. This is from Virtual Riot. He has this really awesome pluck that I use in a lot of my tracks. It's called the Virtual Riot Serum Synth in Memoriam. And it's a really beautiful bell pluck. It sounds really broken, and I feel like that adds a lot of texture to the sound, to the track. Then there is this bass that comes into it, which sounds like this. This is basically yet again. Why is this looking so weird? This is what the this is an 808 plugin. I think it's from 808 Gods, and as you can see, it looks dope. No, but I bounced it, and then I added some bit crusher to add more harmonics to the 808. And together with the pluck, it actually adds like just, I don't know, it's like a whole new vibe you're getting into. So that's basically that, and then there are some other elements. There's like this ambience vocal that is being automated, so it goes from right to left. A lot of ambient stuff to just fill up this frequency spectrum, and then with the percussions again, the new ones. And yeah, so that's basically the second verse as far as that go. Apparently I also added this guitar strum in the drop. So yeah guys, I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in my next tutorial. Peace.